Very much. Okay. Thank you, Julia, and welcome to everyone. Here the sun is shining. That's all I'm going to say. Right. We're talking today about productive skills at B2 First. And if this really is your first time teaching B2 First, well, I think it's important to understand what the whole thing is about. So first of all, understanding the content. You've got three statements there in pretty colors. And what I'd like you to do is to read the statements and decide true or false. Okay, so we're going to start with the blue one. The blue one. Students have to complete 2 questions, a compulsory essay and an optional task. Is that true or false? Okay, right, yeah. The T is perfectly adequate because true is a very long word. Okay, good. Yep, we all seem to be agreed on that one. Well done, well done, well done. Okay, the writing paper is 2 hours long. And students have to write 140 to 190 words. Is that true or false? 2 hours long. True or false? Okay, good. Absolutely. Absolute nonsense. How long is the writing paper? Anybody got any ideas there? It's not 2 hours at all, is it? 2 hours is like a very long time. Yeah, I think it's only 1 hour 15 at this level. Exactly. No, I think it's probably something like that. Okay, something like 75 minutes. Right, so there we go. And the students are supposed to write around 140 to 190 words. And what about the last one? Task types include writing an essay, a report, a review, an email, or a letter, a story, or an article. Is that true or false? Ooh, we seem to be uncertain about that. Okay. Yeah, now we're more confident about that. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so yeah, it is true, except there's one tiny little difference between B2 First and B2 First for schools. And that tiny little difference is that a story is not usually available to the B2 First. Okay, so it's a little difference. Cambridge assumes that B2 First for schools is done as it suggests by people at school, and they seem to think that writing a story is what teenagers enjoy doing. Frankly, not very convinced. But B2 First is aimed at a broader crowd of people, and that's why the story is not available. Okay, right. So, moving on. Let's have a little, oops, there you go. True, false, true. Well done. Everybody's right. Okay. So if we look at the first part, everybody has to do this part 1. You have no choices. Okay, and you can see some of it is already highlighted for you. Okay, so this word count. Do you think Cambridge script markers are going to count the words? Are they going to sit there going? Not really. Okay. Okay. But yeah. Oh, Nadezhda is saying, yes, they will. Seriously? Nadezhda, life is way too short. Far too short. These people in Cambridge, or wherever they happen to be in the UK, are not going to count words. Basically, what happens is if somebody has written too little, then they may have left out some important content. And writing is all about content, isn't it? If they write too much, that means that they can't organize themselves very well. And that's not what we want in today's world. People have to write concisely, clearly, and very concisely, because we don't have time to read the 358,000 pages of a random person, when actually that much will do. Okay, so we've got to be quite certain about that. Well, yeah, indeed, fair enough. Yeah, okay, good. So you can see you've been given here context. Okay, so in this case, you've been talking about education. All right, and you've been asked to write an essay and so on and so forth. So that's the context. Okay, because if we have context, it's easier for our learners to work with. Everybody needs context. Do we ever write anything just because we can? Yeah, unless of course we're the new Shakespeare or the new Tolstoy or whoever. We don't do that. Okay, exactly. Right, and then you can see we have the concrete question about that, the title, if you will. In this case, in purple. Very clear, don't you think? Very clear question being said. Is this a good thing or a bad thing for the children? So your essay will tell everybody whether you think this is a good or a bad thing for the children. Or will you say, well, you know, there's this and there's that and blah, 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 and I don't know. What do we think? If there's a concrete question, will my essay answer that concrete question? Yeah, I can see some comments coming through. Absolutely, yes. Yeah, if you're asked to give your opinion, then you must give your opinion. Nobody will care pretty much whether you say yes or no, but you must give your opinion. Okay, and you've got these two things to write about, as you can see on the screen right now, and also you are asked to write your own idea. Now, this is three things. And we have about 150, 60 words, maybe 180 words. Am I going to write something really insightful, really in-depth, or am I going to say, well, I think having a parent as a teacher can be a good thing, but on the other hand, they tend to be very bossy. Is that enough? Or do I have to write another 50 words? Really? I don't know. Think about it. If you count up the words, it's probably already quite, if you think you've got to do that 3 times. You need to support your opinion. Okay, fair enough, absolutely. And you need to think of ways of doing that. So having a parent as a teacher, maybe somebody might write, well, you know, my parent is a teacher, my mother is a teacher, and frankly, when I was a child, it was just dreadful. Always sitting you down and making you do homework. So you'd have to give some kind of example. But seriously, don't start a new chapter in your life history. Keep it simple. Okay. Too many stories or personal references to personal experience in one essay, which is only a maximum of 190 words long, is really not going to work very well. Yeah, remember, you've got to cover all content points. Okay, right. Oh, look. So, bearing in mind that task, okay, more and more children are being homeschooled. Is this a good thing or a bad thing for the children? What kind of linguistic functions do you think this task demands? What are they going to have to do? First of all, they're going to have to write a formal essay. Okay, fine. But what other things are they going to have to do? If we think in terms of functions, are they going to have to give information? Okay, yeah, compare. Thank you, Maria. What else? Come on, guys, wake up. Okay, linking, yes, but that's more about explaining your ideas. I think maybe you think about it like that, yeah? Logical sentences, you're already on language. I'm not even close to language yet. I'm all about content. than about functions. Yeah, okay, right. Express opinions, good. Well done. Yeah, making suggestions, presenting arguments, absolutely. Yeah, wonderful. Okay, I did not do that. Guys, what are you people doing with me? Okay. Great. Okay, lovely. But yes, the organization is something, but it's not a function in itself. Yeah, but let's have a look at it like this. Yeah. So obviously you're going to have to be able to write a formal essay. That means that your learners are going to have to understand, okay, there's going to be a little introduction, there's going to be 2 or 3 content paragraphs, and there's going to be a conclusion. And that conclusion will clearly state, okay, I think it is good for the children because, or I think it is bad for the children because. That's basically the whole thing about writing a formal essay, isn't it? Right? The candidate will have to express opinions. Obviously, we'll have to know how to express opinions and not just write, I think, because, well, it's very boring. So we've got to teach them other ways of saying, I think. What other ways would we have of saying, I think? What else can we think of? She says, it seems to, ooh, nice. I reckon. I'm not sure that I would write reckon in an essay because it's quite informal. I believe, certainly. I guess, no. I'm sorry. No. Yeah. Oh, yeah, the inevitable to my mind. Oh, yeah. But I feel, okay, fair enough. In my view, in my opinion, somebody said earlier on, from my point of view, and so on and so on and so forth. This is what we mean by function. So the function is expressing opinions and finding different ways of doing that. And also checking for appropriacy. Because as we say, okay, if we're talking to people, then Americans would often say, I guess. I can't do an American accent, I'm sorry. British people often say, I reckon, or I reckon that and that and that, but none of us would ever write it. And it's all about knowing that as well. Okay. Having given opinions, they're also going to have to be able to give reasons for those opinions. So usually starting with because, but not always. Agree and disagree with other people's, with different statements, for example. They're going to have to give a certain amount of information, not very much perhaps, but some. And yes, they are going to have to compare and contrast their ideas. I strongly agree. Well, indeed, yeah. And this is now your opportunity. Nice little task for you. In the middle of your screen right now, you see a statement, celebrities earn too much money. By celebrities, we can mean, obviously, media stars, sports people, football players. Everyone seems to think football players are paid a huge amount of money. So any kind of singer, TV stars, and so on and so on. These are the people we think of as celebrities, yes. Now, you can see 4 different ways, okay? And I'd like you, when I tell you, to express your opinion. I'd like you, first of all, to agree. Not strongly agree, just agree. Can you write me a whole sentence suggesting that you agree? I couldn't care less. Aliyah, well, yeah, quite possibly, but is that something we would write? I partly agree. Okay, I suppose so. I suppose another one of those things. Do we really write it? I agree up to a point. Nice. Yeah, somebody's saying, no doubt, the celebrities. Yeah, is that agree or is that strongly agree though? I completely agree, says Maria. Well, possibly, but is that agree or is that strongly agree? Do you see there's a slight difference, yeah, between saying, I believe that famous people earn a lot of money, or I strongly believe, or I absolutely, totally agree that. Yeah. So we've got to make that slight little difference. Can I ask you to strongly disagree with this statement, please? Yeah, some nice stuff coming through there. I quite agree. I like quite agree. I quite agree. Nice touch. Nice touch. Okay, can we have a variation on the I totally disagree, because I'm getting bored with that. Come on. What else can we say? I mean, I totally disagree. Is that right? I absolutely disagree. No way do they earn, you know. Okay, but no way. Is that formal or informal? Okay, yeah. Okay. Oh, there's lots of things coming in right now. This is great. It's absolutely fabulous, fantastic. I would not say, but that may just be disagree. I cannot agree. Absolutely. Okay. Nothing can change my mind. Oh yeah. You could be right, but is that strongly or just kind of standard? Okay, yes. So there are all kinds of different ways of doing that. And I think this is a useful thing that you can do in your classes. Just put on the whiteboard or whatever you're using, a statement like this. And then hold up colored cards saying, agree. Get everyone to write down sentences, for example. If your class is quite a small class and you have either mini whiteboards or you have a laminator, you can make your own whiteboards, and maybe people can write on those as well and just hold up what their sentences say, and then everyone can read everybody else's sentence. But it's about practicing being able to make such statements really, really quickly without having to think about it. Okay. Thank you, Nadezhda. I thought it was quite a nice trick, you know? Something that we can practice, indeed. Okay. So now, I've got another idea. And you're really not going to enjoy this one. You remember your essay task, yes? I'm not going to read it out because you can. Okay. And what I've done, because the next thing is that, okay, people keep saying, oh, but Claire, I have no ideas. I don't know what to say, blah, 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 blah. You know, particularly teenagers. Have you noticed that? Teenagers never have anything to say. Except when they start talking, and then suddenly you can't talk. You can't stop them. Okay. So what I've done in order to help your teenagers with ideas, I'm using something called Padlet. Okay, you can see there's a QR code on the screen right now, and either you use the QR code or you look at here it is. I'm going to show you the screen. Okay. So at the moment you can see at the top, right, homeschooling good or not. Some parents choose to teach their children at home, and you can see on each of my posts I have added the same thing. Okay. So I'd like you to start by adding a short comment to either some parents teach their children at home, having a parent as a teacher, or write about making friends. Okay, so these are the two ideas that Cambridge give to you. Okay, I'd like everyone to write a short comment. The good thing about Padlet is that essentially, I'm going to stop sharing now. It is, whoops, no, Claire, no, where am I going? There I am. It is anonymous, and there is your link in the chat box. Okay, I'm going to be watching this, and I look forward to lots and lots of responses. Okay, so you just need to click on where it says add comment, type something. It does not need to be a whole sentence at this stage. It just needs to be an idea. And click on enter to, or click on publish. I can see there are people typing. I like it when people type. This is good. Okay. Okay. Someone has written socializing, so they've started a new post. Okay. Okay. Someone's talking about a side effect. Fine. What other side effect? Okay. Someone has written here, expressing opinion with many people. Are you talking about making friends here, or is this a whole new idea? Oh, guys, keep typing. Ooh, nice. Nice. I like that person has written some confusion in the roles. Lovely. Okay, right. Oh, I like that. Comfortable home environment. Skyrockets academic performance, but still there's no friends. Does it really always work out like that? Not sure it does. But okay, it's an opinion. Fine. No socializing. Yeah. Okay. Spree-free environment. Oh, somebody's written up here. Also, the parent may not be objective. No, I like that. It's a very good idea. I think you can do a lot with that. All right. Ooh. Oh no, there's the thing. Child psyche doesn't get derailed. That's very interesting. That's very, very interesting. Okay. Okay. So some of you have also started to think of your own ideas, which is great. It's absolutely fantastic. How will they make friends if they're isolated? Okay. Good point. Good point. Okay. Teamwork. Yeah. Good. I'm wondering what spree-free environment means, but I'm sure I'll find out at some point. Boredom. Oh, right. Yeah. Right. Now we're getting more and more ideas coming. Some of you are writing whole sentences. But remember, I'm also sort of suggesting that you use something like Padlet simply to generate ideas. Because as you can see, it is anonymous, unless you're registered yourself with Padlet, in which case that is going to come through. But most of your students will not be registered, so that's fine. And it's easy for students to use. There is a wonderful app which anyone can use on a mobile phone as well, which makes it really, really easy to use in a physical classroom as well as online. And it does help to generate ideas, okay? And as you can see, you can personalize it. You can use pretty pictures and so on and so forth. Okay. Ooh, non-academic environment. That's a nice idea. Yeah, lots of distractors. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. I can see some more people are still typing. Well, okay, home. Well, yeah, home is usually a safe place. This is very true, although sadly there are homes where that is not the case, where you've got parents who don't treat their children very well. Okay, school can be very, very stressful. Yeah. Okay, fully control the content of lessons. That's a good point. Is that good, though? That's the question, isn't it? Is that good? Okay, It will spoil their relationships. Well, they might not have relationships to spoil if they're going to be at home. Snack temptation. I like that. So essentially, homeschooling is going to produce a collection of fat, bored, isolated kids. Okay. It's a nice idea. I like that. I'm not sure that it would be very positive, but well, hey. Ooh, find private teachers. Yeah, okay. Nice idea. It can be very expensive, can't it? Okay, might be too hard on their children. Absolutely. They might demand too much. They might also not demand enough. And of course, there are all kinds of things going on like that. Okay, people, enough. back to the session. All right. Okay. Can't we just talk to them? Okay, I can see people have been putting stuff in the chat box as well, which is great. Okay, right. Parents are not teachers. Well, yeah. But hey, you're all teachers. Are you not parents as well? Parents don't know all the techniques. This is very true. Do teachers? Okay, right. Nadia's saying that parents need to earn money. Well, yeah, that's true. That's absolutely true. Okay. So my point is with something like this, yes, you need to first generate ideas, obviously, and you need to get your learners used to generating ideas and generating these ideas really, really, really quickly. And so something like Padlet I find actually quite useful, as I say, because it is generally anonymous, and also there is this wonderful app that people can use on mobile phones. And let's be honest, most of our teens have mobile phones. Okay, yes. Pain and stress make us stronger. Well, indeed, absolutely. Thank you for that philosophical thought. Exactly, Nadia. And that's, I think, one of the biggest problems is, first of all, getting our learners used to generating ideas, okay? And to do this very quickly. So that's one of my personal suggestions. That and the previous task also, to practice ideas generation together with specific functions, okay? Okay, well, there is that. Okay, moving on. Okay, I'm not going to move on, apparently. Hello, come on. Why is my PowerPoint not moving? Oh, no, there we go. Right, okay, it's moving on. Thank you. Okay, so here's another idea, okay? I'm not going to read out the slide because you can read, but take a screenshot if you will. Basically, yeah, 5 or 6 lines, short text about something the students have covered in English previously. It can be as simple as a very short text taken from a previous unit in the course book. Okay. You should then think about putting the learners in groups or pairs. If you think, I think 5, particularly with teenagers, is sometimes too many. Because 2 will be talking and the other 3 will be twiddling their thumbs and doing absolutely nothing. Yeah, they're going to read it, or at least they're actually going to, if you do it properly, they're going to hear it rather than read. I'm going to make you read it because that's the way it's going to work. Okay, right. And as you can see, what's going on, all right? Each sentence the student needs to repeat. So, for example, I will say, this book was first written in 1965, but it seems like new. Okay, have 1 or 2 students. Yes, you are supposed to see the presentation now. Guys, can you not see my presentation? Oh, we can. Okay, right. I was going to get worried there for a second. Thank you. It's all right. All right, stop saying you can. That's wonderful. Okay. So, as you can see, first of all, the teacher will read the first sentence out loud, and your learners will listen, and 1 or 2 of them will repeat, and then till you get around the whole group, said this one sentence, okay? And then you go to the next sentence, okay? All right? And then you can do something that I'm going to do in just a second. First of all, I'd like you to focus on the yellow bit. Can you just please read that yellow bit? Read it through a couple of times because it's going to disappear quite soon. Thank you, Ekaterina. All right. It is going to disappear in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ooh, it went. For the purposes of this webinar, I'd like you to choose one of these things. One. So either 1965 or circus performance or runaway or elephant or adventure or put down. You don't need to tell me what you've chosen, but you do need to try and produce the whole sentence, please, in the chat box. Indeed, Nadezhda, what a twist. I'm feeling mean and nasty. Okay, so choose one of those things and please try and produce the whole sentence. The sentence as, oh, nice there, Galina. Okay. Okay, right. Okay, I like this one about brilliant, yeah. Good. Wonderful. I like the way that everyone's kind of using the first and the last. What about the people in between? Circus performers, elephants. Oh, runaway. Absolutely. Thank you very much. Good. Well done. Well done. Anybody got any circus performers? Or an elephant? Oh, right. Okay. Okay. He saw the ghost of an elephant. Did he really? Oh my. I've got a second screen over here and I'm reading this and I'm like, really? Okay. Okay. He saw the elephant somewhere. I like it. I like it. Lovely. Absolutely fantastic. Lovely people. Okay, stop. Wonderful. So the idea is that, okay, the way we've done it, you read, I asked you to choose one of those words and just write down the sentence, okay? You can do it differently. So you could have them read and together in pairs, just give them these 6 key words and get them to rewrite the whole entire text. And in this case, it's not necessarily going to be exactly the same words, but at least that shows that they have understood what it is they're reading. If you do it in the original form, and I'm just going to go backwards to let you read that again. Okay, if you do it in the original form, then obviously, first of all, they've had some listening practice. They've heard the sentences. The book was first written in 1965, and it still seems like and they've heard it a number of times, so their brains have processed this. So they've done some listening practice, and now you're asking them to reproduce it together. And by writing it down, you practice that. Okay, so it's actually quite a nice little way of getting through some structures, keywords. If you're being really, really mean, your keywords could be like conjunctions, for example, or adverbs, or simply random lexis, something like that. Well, yeah, the thing is, this is a good question there, Nadezhda. It depends on what it is you're going for. If you're doing it by them listening, then they should write down exactly the same as what they heard. If, however, they've read it, then it is entirely possible that the brain will reprocess that and will, encouraging them to be able to paraphrase is actually a good thing as well. Okay, so if they're listening, get them to write down what they heard. And if they're reading, then perhaps paraphrase is not the worst idea. Okay, so that's just something else with which to brighten everybody's day. Now, moving on. Oops. Punctuation. Where do sentences start and end? And what other kinds of punctuation might you have in between? Well, so remember the whole situation with capitalization, which is sadly not as random as many people think, okay, and can defeat. And it's just, you know, why give the people in the UK the opportunity to get distracted by having your students use bad punctuation? Exactly. So here we go. I could suggest there are actually 4 sentences. Catastrophes. Okay. Okay, guys, you have 4 sentences. Catastrophes is not the end of one of them. It is a comma. I like that idea, Nadezhda. In this case, not so. Okay. Please feel free to tell me exactly which words end the sentence by simply writing the word and putting a full stop after it. If there are any commas, again, find the word, put the comma after it. So catastrophes there's a comma, that's true. Yeah, that's the idea. You're supposed to be able to think about it. Okay, yeah. In which environment? No, not environment. Them. Okay, good. Good. Them there is, absolutely. Next one, keep moving. Conditional, what? Oh, yes, you're absolutely right, Maria. I didn't ask you to tell me the conditional, but that's fine. I feel giddy. Oh, dear. Well, sorry about that. Not environment. We have to pay the price is very definitely the end. Well done. Well done. World, so absolutely. It's not environment, it is environment. No, I see what, yes, okay, sorry, no, you are right, it is environment. Environment and development is what I have here, but it's the other way around. Okay, absolutely. Produce, comma. Okay, country. If a country, countries don't have to be capitalized unless we're actually using the name of the country. Okay. Polluted, absolutely, full stop. I think that's what polluted is supposed to be. Just going to run with it. Yeah. Polluted, full stop, not comma. Here you go. Let me put you out of your misery. Okay. So you have here the opportunity to practice basic punctuation, obviously. Now, whether you use a spiral, the website that you can see at the bottom of your slide allows you to produce spirals, but it also allows you to produce gentle waves and all kinds of weird and wonderful things. So you can find one that makes you personally feel less dizzy. But it is useful for learners to realize that they have to think of language in sentences in paragraphs, and they have to use punctuation to help everybody else understand what it is they're writing. Okay, because many learners of English will, for example, write something like, if we surf the web looking for pollution, environmental catastrophes, full stop. Clearly not the whole sentence, yes, because we started with if, but you see it time and time again. And also things like, although the sun is shining. Yeah, although what exactly? I don't really get that at all, okay? So we've got to start thinking about punctuation. And I think B2 is very much the level where that becomes absolutely vital. Okay, lovely. Okay. To finish up the writing section, you can see on your screen right now some resources that you can find on the CambridgeEnglish.org website and the Learning English activities on this. You know, there are 2 learning English and teaching English. Okay, if you follow through the learning English, then you can find all kinds of free online resources, which you can recommend to your learners, or you can use them in class as well if you have the right technology. Okay, that's when teaching online becomes really, really useful, because you can easily embed something like this in an online presentation. Okay, another thing that I want to remind everybody about is this Write and Improve, which is another sub-website of the Cambridge collection of websites. And you can see, yeah, it actually, again, it's for the learners. As far as I'm aware, and that would be a big improvement, would be if a teacher could register a whole entire class and then get feedback themselves on what the class has done. That would be really, really cool. But I don't see that happening anytime soon. But let's all complain to the people in Cambridge. Okay, but it does work and can be very useful. Okay. That's apparently what happens. Okay, so you get this kind of feedback. Okay, and you can see it tells you, okay, yeah, you have written enough. Well done. Okay, for example. All right. Okay, and it tells you other kinds of things as well, as you can see, at word level and sentence level. Okay, it works in a very similar way to, for example, the automatic spell checker that you have on word processing programs, or also in Google now. I find Google Docs actually very useful if you set it to English, because Google Docs will automatically tell you when they think you're making a mistake. It will automatically flag all kinds of spelling, but also punctuation. And I think that's also very useful. All right. Okay. Right. One thing that I really do not have time to touch on today, because, well, you know, time is limited, assessing. And I think it's very useful for us teachers to know how to begin to assess what our learners write. There is a very handy guide. You can see a screenshot on your screens right now. You can also download that from the teaching resources section of the cambridgeenglish.org website. It can be very useful. And remember, there are lots and lots of comments. There's the whole scales and sample texts with comments for you to try and find a benchmark. All right, and I often find it is quite useful to use some of this in class. I think it's a good thing for learners to know what it is they're being assessed on, so that they can focus. So I'm not going to talk about anything else about that at the moment. I am instead going to move on to speaking. Okay, because that's another of these things. People think actually the productive skills are the most challenging. I have to disagree, but it is important to be prepared. Okay, so B2 first, and there is no difference here between B2 first and B2 first for schools, except for schools, topics will be, they say, more appropriate to the teenage population. Okay, so it's more about teens, whereas the regular first will have more adults. Well, there are, Angelina has asked a question. Yes, there are writing examples. If you look in the handbook, B2 First and B2 First for Schools handbooks, again, available through the website, although, frankly, and I do hope the people from Cambridge listening to me right now will not take this amiss, frankly, easier if you just Google B2 First handbook, much quicker to get there. Okay, and you'll find, as I say, examples which have been assessed and which come with rationales and explanations as to why they've been given the points they have been given. Okay, so in speaking, part 2 is the long turn. And here the learners are asked to talk on their own. Does anyone know how long they have to talk on their own? Absolutely, 1 minute. Okay, now we think 1 minute is not a long time, right? Have you tried to do it? Have you set yourself the task, gone straight in, timed it, because we can now, we all have mobile phones, and also recorded yourself? Well done, Maria, congratulations. You know, I think it's important that we all do try and do this, because only then can we begin to understand the problems that our learners face. Okay, it is quite a long minute, isn't it, Irina? I quite agree. Yeah, it can be very challenging. Okay, so the whole thing here is I'd like you to compare the photographs, not describe, compare the photographs, and say what you think the people are enjoying about spending time in these gardens. So let me ask you a couple of silly questions. Okay, so they've been asked to compare the photographs. Does that mean they have to describe the photographs? Yes or no? Exactly. Good. We do not have to compare, describe. We have to compare. Yeah, so I do not need to start by saying, well, on one picture I can see a man working in his garden, and on the other picture I can see a lot of people sitting in the park. And I don't have to go into details about, well, in the man's garden there seem to be lots and lots of vegetables. And I hate gardening, because that's just not helping us at this stage of the game. Okay, we've got to compare the photos, and we've got to say what the people are enjoying about spending time in these gardens. So here's a thought. Why say anything that is not a comparison? So let's think about points to compare. We can compare, in this case, who? Okay, on the one picture, the man, and the other picture, lots of people. Okay, so why do we have to say, or why should we say, I can see one person and then I can see lots of people? That is not a comparison. A comparison is where we use special structures. As you can see on your slide right now, the pictures differ because there's a man on his own, while, or whereas, in the second picture there are groups of people. And I think that's an important thing, because we see way too many people, teenagers and real people and teachers, in speaking tests who waste quite a lot of time describing. And they think, in general, that they're comparing, but as long as you're not using comparative structures, you are not comparing. So that's the thing to click, to understand, and to use, or to make your learners understand. Okay, in these pictures we can also compare where, obviously, and you can see, okay, he's working again, whereas the people in picture 2 are relaxing in a concert bakehouse. Okay, so it's all about okay, finding things to say. Exactly, someone's saying something about comparing and contrasting. Well, it's just opposites, aren't they? In both pictures, the sun is shining. Comparing, contrasting. The man is in quite a small garden, whereas the other people are in a huge open space. Contrasting. That would be the difference. Okay. Essentially the same thing, just using slightly different types of language. Okay. Inside and outside, well, yeah, except they were all outside. So in both pictures, the people are outside enjoying fresh air in their gardens. Okay, yeah, Irina, yeah, good idea. Similarity and difference. Okay, But we also need to think about what the people are enjoying about spending time in these gardens. So we have a big why here. And I'm not going to read this out because, well, hey, you people can read. But yes. At this stage, also, this idea of speculation comes into play because we don't know. We don't know the man. We don't know his garden. We have no idea. There is no right answer. And I think this is where, in many cases, people begin to struggle because they think, oh, there is a right answer. This is, there must be a right answer. This is how I have gone through my life at school and university. There is always a right answer. And we're saying, no, there isn't. Sorry. But it's all about you being able to tell us what you think. Okay, so you can speculate in any way, shape, or form. You can say, for example, as far as I'm concerned, okay, so we have what looks like a regular man growing vegetables in his allotment, but is really an alien who's come down to study the way people work, and so on and so forth. It doesn't really matter what the idea is, as long as you can express it. And the more outrageous the idea, in some cases, clearly it's possible to go too far, but in general, thinking outside the box is a good thing because it gives you more to say. Okay, right. Yeah, it's not penalized. Why would I think be penalized? Because, well, hey, it's the basic, isn't it? It's also very A2. Elementary students, even A1, can say, I think. So, yeah. I'm very pleased to hear that, Ali. Yeah. When I was at university, there were always right answers. Obviously, things have moved on in the academic world, and I'm very excited to hear that. Okay, right. All right. So, moving on. Let's think about some activities for this. Okay. So we can practice simply brainstorming ideas using question words. Okay. Again, because usually people sit there and go, I don't know what to say, which is rather unfortunate. So we can use these question words, okay? And it's a good idea, I think, in class to have cards with the question words, so you can keep holding up the question word and get the learners in the class to make a statement to each other using the question implied by your question word. Well, maybe they do sometimes confuse these question words, which is all the more reason to keep practicing them, isn't it? Yeah? In Germany, I live in Germany currently, and German for where is wo, and yeah, the German for who is wer. And you can see there's an obvious overlap. So Germans can frequently tell me, things like, where is that man? And I say, well, he's in the park. No, that, which man? And so on and so forth. So it's a good idea to use the question words, I think, also to practice things like that. You have pictures, unlimited pictures now online through Google or Yandex. And why not use them? Okay. Students can find pictures on their own, or you can find pictures for them, simply project them in class. Or you can use the photographs in course books. Course books these days come littered with photographs. So why not ask them to start comparing these photographs? Or to talk about them in terms of who, what, why, where, and so on and so forth. Yeah, it can work quite nicely. Also, you can think about relating language into that. So where obviously you can be practicing prepositions of place and adverbs. How also adverbs of motion. So why gives you practice in justifying your answers. All right. Well, indeed, Nadezhda, looking out of the window sometimes is quite a good thing and can actually provide quite a useful distraction for students. Yeah. Exactly, Olga. They very much signal words. If you have your own classroom, you can just park these words around the classroom and just keep pointing. Or you can have little cards and put your learners into groups of 3 or 4 and get them to take it in turns, to look at a picture and to turn up the question words as well. Exactly. Okay. Right. Here's another idea. Again, I'm not going to read it out because I know you people can read. Yeah. But I will say that in many cases, students, and it doesn't matter whether they're students, teenagers, or adults, I think in many classrooms, perhaps we overlook the importance of simply allowing our learners to speak, or even encouraging our learners to speak. Yeah, and this is one of the things that I like to do with high-level groups such as B2, C1, even C2. Take care you don't end up in my C2 group. Because generally one good idea is to start every lesson with a topic and get them to talk. You can provide them with sentences like this, for example, so word prompts, or you can provide them again with pictures. At one stage I had a box game somebody gave me when I was still in Moscow, which had lots of odd pictures, very unusual pictures, or pictures of somebody's backyard, all kinds of weird and wonderful pictures, and also very good for kickstarting a long term as well. Okay, the idea is that by getting people just to talk, it just gives them this flexibility, this mobility with the language, which is otherwise very difficult. Because, teachers are wonderful, wonderful people, obviously. But some teachers have this unfortunate habit of stopping their learners just as they've started to speak. Okay, and that's not very encouraging, is it? So that's why I think it's a good idea at the beginning of every lesson, put your students into pairs and get them to just talk. Make sure for a whole minute. So number 1 is talking, number 2 is timing, using the phone timer. Just to see how long they could talk about that one thing, just to get them used to it. You can, Svetlana, you can use pictures as well. Pictures and word prompts, just to get them started, to keep them going, okay? And I think as soon as they're used to speaking, for as long, it's suggested here 2 minutes, it just gives them more scope. Okay, right. I'm going to put a pair of pictures on your screen. Both of the pictures show different means of public transport. The rubric is, I'd like you to compare these 2 means of public transport and say why the passengers may have chosen this form of transport. All right? So bear that in mind. I'd like you to compare these 2 means of public transport and say why the people have chosen or might have chosen these means of transport. As soon as you see the pictures, I'd like you to type a sentence in the chat box, a sentence comparing or contrasting the pictures. Remember what we said? These sentences will have some kind of comparative or contrastive language. All right? Let's see who's going to be the quickest. Okay, one sentence, please, in the chat box, comparing or contrasting these two photographs. Thank you, Alan. Good point. It's a basic comparison. Okay. Interesting thought, Maria. Not sure why you think the plane is the short trip, but whatever. Oh, right. Lovely, Nadezhda. Okay. Wow, it's coming in thick and fast here. Okay. The bus is safer than jet. I don't think actually accident rates will prove you otherwise, but whatever. Both illustrate means of modern transport. Good. Okay. The bus is not as fancy as the plane. I like that. Good. In both pictures, we can see yeah, absolutely. Okay, good. Okay. If you don't see the pictures, it'd be nice to just refresh your browser. Okay. Nice, Dmitry. Thank you. Okay. Right. Some of you seem to be answering the question as to why these people might have chosen their means of transport. And some of you are starting at the beginning, which is never a bad place to start. Oh, Elena, lovely. Unlike in the first picture, fantabulous. Very excited about that. Okay. They look more relaxed than the air travelers. That's an interesting thought. You're quite possibly right, and who cares? But that's a nice thought. Thank you very much there. Oui, Maria. Now there's a sentence and a half. Okay. Right. Woo. Okay. Thank you, Alan. Lovely. It's a very good point, Ekaterina. They don't allow standing passengers on planes. That's a good point. Okay, exactly. Okay. The bus, it could also be, it looks like a very old bus, doesn't it? It could also be a tram, whatever. They feed you in a plane. Yes, sometimes, not always, frankly, not always. But yes, okay. Yeah, good point there, Tatiana. Okay. So you could continue very happily. It's a standard Russian bus. I'm not sure that I really agree, but whatever you say. Okay. Okay, lovely. Ooh, that's an interesting thought, looking at the pilots and the drivers. Okay. Right. They're holding suitcases. Oh, yeah. Well, I think in the first photo there, I can see shopping bags. I can see people with other kinds of bags. And I mean, have you ever gotten onto a town bus, a municipal bus, and the people are not carrying huge, big backpacks? All right. Okay. Right. Okay. There are stairs in both pictures. There are. Okay. Are you people looking at the same pictures as I am? I do not see stairs on the other picture. Okay, but whatever. That's fine. Nobody in an exam is the interlocutor in an exam is not going to say, no, that's not true. The examiners are trained to basically listen fairly impassively to what the students say, and only start looking puzzled if the situation requires it. Oh, Victoria, you are my new hero. Right. In the spur of a moment, yeah, except you can't always book planes in the spur of a moment, but still, it's a lovely, lovely sentence. Okay, so anything like that. And I think it's useful just to quite simply get your learners to keep doing this in class. as much as possible, okay? You can basically choose different topics and then look for pictures on the topics and just do it like that. Okay, but the more practice, the easier it becomes. And that's the great thing. Practice, 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 practice. Okay. If you think that your learners are not producing enough comparative or contrastive language, then you need to sit them down and make them write it, basically, until this use of comparative and contrastive language becomes automatic. Again, practice, 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 practice. It is much more expensive in general, absolutely. Okay, lovely. So that's about the long term, but we also have the collaborative task. Okay. That's right. That's right. National Geographic does have a lot of good photos, a lot of things that we can use and practice with. Absolutely. Okay, moving on to the collaborative task. So this is a task where the two candidates have to talk to each other. And you can see there's a question in the middle. The examiner will not read out the question, but will simply say, here are some ideas, here are some things for you to talk about and a question for you to answer. And will then say, you have some time to read the question, 15 seconds in pairs, and your students should use these 15 seconds to read everything and to start already thinking about some of the things they can say. So, and again, is it a race? Do they have 2 minutes to talk about these things? 2 minutes, and then the examiner says, okay, and now which do you think is the most important, for example? And they have another minute to talk. In the first 2 minutes, do your learners have to talk about all 5 of these prompts? Some of you have been typing no before I've even finished the question. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Indeed, indeed. Yeah, we're all there. Absolutely not. It's not necessary to talk about all 5 points. These are basically supplied to keep the learners talking, because it's an exam. It's a stressful experience, and how important are these things for keeping fit and healthy? People go. And so here, at least they have some ideas to start with. Alexandra, you might say it's impossible, but I have seen everything. I have seen a pair of teenagers manage to talk, to say something, not to discuss, to say something about every single one of these 5 prompts in 1 minute and 30 seconds. They should cover as many as they need to. Okay. But most pairs will usually get through with 2 or 3. The important thing here is not to simply say, I think sleeping 8 hours every night is wonderful. So do I. Right, next point. That's not getting us anywhere. That's very A2. Okay, so it's a whole 2 levels lower. Okay, a B2. Yeah. First of all, we need to think about inviting people to speak. So we might say, for example, right, well, sleeping 8 hours every night. What do you think about that? And the other person might then say, well, I think it is very important, but on the other hand, it's not always easy to do that. I hear what you say, life is so hard. I never get to bed before 1 o'clock in the morning. I don't know where these people find the time. No, but if I do sleep 8 hours a night, I feel a lot better. So, and what do we think about eating at regular times, and so on and so forth? So it's got to be an exchange of opinions, and it's got to develop the point, not just, say, I like it, I don't like it. Okay, right? And we need to make sure that our learners understand this and keep practicing this, okay, while trying to remain on track. Okay. Okay, so we've got to think about encouraging our learners to present both sides of the argument. And we go back to our structures. Okay. You can read that for yourselves. Question is on the screen. So this person is saying, well, I agree that this and this and this and this and this, but on the other hand, I think blah and blah and blah. Okay, so you're presenting two sides of the argument. And automatically, you've got a lot more to say, haven't you? It's a great thing about it. Okay. Okay, another example for you there. Using slightly different language, but the same structure. It's true that, but on the other hand, and so on. Okay. Right. The next slide. It's over to you again. Have you noticed I like an interactive webinar? Sorry about that, moderators, such is life. Okay, so the next slide, you're going to see 4 statements. I'd like you to choose one of the statement. Please don't all choose the first statement because that's just going to make me very bored. Choose one of the 4 statements. Yeah, start at the top or at the bottom, in the middle. I don't care. Just choose one of the statements. Don't tell me which statement because your sentence should tell me which statement you're talking about. Okay. Try and write one statement which includes both sides of the argument. All right? I don't think that was very clear, but anyway, there we go. Choose one of these statements, write in the chat box one sentence presenting both sides of the argument. And yes, paraphrasing, please. Thank you, Nadezhda. I'll give you a little time. All right, I think you should have produced a whole sentence now. Oh, nice. Thank you there. Yes, Katerina, though I think you might want to expand on that a little bit. Okay. Quite possibly, Vladislav, but that's not really your own statement on the subject, is it? Okay, right. Nice idea that on the organic produce there, Katerina. Okay, right, Elia. Good. Okay. Oh, I like that one. Yes. Doesn't imply that they're useless. Nice idea. Yeah, okay, good. So you can see. And ladies and gentlemen, are you finding this easy or challenging? Thinking of sentences like this, which include both sides of the argument. It is quite challenging. And think about that. If it's challenging for you, how challenging is it for your learners? Okay. And quite poetic. Okay, that's a nice idea. Yeah. And I think the idea is that here you have this opportunity, and it's a good opportunity for us to insist that people start practicing using language to present both sides of the argument again, till it becomes more and more natural, and they don't even have to think about it. So at the beginning, it's going to be challenging. For some people, it's going to be virtually impossible, but we have to persevere. And we have to keep repeating, like everything else. Okay, it was an interesting thought there, Natalia. Yeah, I'm sure all of our students need this practice. But there we go. Thank you very much. I have another thing to offer you. Okay. Yeah. Exactly. All right. Okay. This book is not a Cambridge University Press book. Sorry about that. But it is a very useful book. It's published by Delta Publishing. It's not a new book these days, but still actually very, very handy. It has all kinds of speaking activities for, I think it's B1 or B2 up to C1, C2. So it can be used with a wide range of learners. Aliyah says, yes, you've used it before, so Johnny D, well done. And this particular activity that I chose out of that, and if this were a live session, then I would have you do this activity together, but obviously in a webinar it's really, really challenging. But yeah, basically the idea is that you have a secret sentence. As you can see, there are some examples. You'd have a pile of these secret sentences, and students would take one, and then you'd put them in groups of 3 or 4, and you would give them a topic to talk about, to discuss. And you'd give them 3 or 4 minutes to discuss that, during which time they have to slip in their secret sentence. Not by saying, okay, hang out people, secret sentence coming, because, well, that's a bit of a giveaway. And you know why I find that so useful? Xenia, the title of the book is called Speaking Games. If you Google Speaking Games, Delta Publishing, you will find it. One of the things that we notice a lot in speaking tests is that learners come in with this mental list of things I must say. And when they produce these things, they equally mentally tick the ones that they have used. And I can see them ticking that. Yeah, thank you. All right. And it's so frustrating. So frustrating. Okay, so the idea of this game is to get your learners to use specific, and these are just examples, that you can use your own examples, you can create your own secret sentences simply by going through the course book and writing down bits and pieces as they're presented. The idea is that they're able to produce their secret sentence so naturally that nobody has noticed. And if nobody has noticed, they get a point. If they notice, the others get the point. Okay, and I think this is actually quite a good thing. It's quite challenging, but on the other hand, it's fun. I tried it out on both my teens, and I have some teachers who were doing C2, C1 or C2, and they also thought it was great fun. Okay, it takes a little bit of getting used to, as ever, like everything, but it's also actually quite useful. Okay, so that's a nice idea. I thought that was quite a nice idea with speaking. Okay, and again, it's something you can talk about again and again and again. Okay, and there are all kinds of topics and questions and so on and so forth that you can think of, you can adapt for your learners, and just take and run. All right, so as we approach the end of this particular webinar, I'd just like to remind everybody that you have more of this online. You just need to go and find it. It says B2 first for schools, but I think it exists also for B2. And you'll find all kinds of things for your learners to try at home in the classroom, and all kinds of support for your learners and for you as teachers. Okay, you can see if you look down the checklist, there are all kinds of things for us as teachers to take away and to use. All right. It's cool. There we go. Thank you, Natalia. Excellent feedback there. All right. I can see there are a couple of questions in, sorry, there's one question in the chat box. What can help you to get an A in speaking or writing? And there we have, okay. Students, yes, they do need to be aware of the format. They need to have strategies. And yes, the problem is generally language, okay? And as I think we've made the point in the meantime, Daria, we need to practice, and try and practice in as natural a way as possible, using perhaps some of these ideas that we've been talking about again and again and again, just the same ideas, the same language coming in again and again, but taking it to a slightly higher level to make it sound more natural. Also, encouraging your learners to watch YouTube videos or films, TV, whatever happens to come their way in English is also a good idea. Simply so that they hear stuff. They don't necessarily need to pick up on it, but they hear stuff, which is also very useful. Oh, you're welcome there, Daria. Reading as well is incredibly useful, not something that many teenagers indulge in very often, but reading any kind of, it doesn't have to be news affairs, you know, what's happening in the world today can also be modern novels, perhaps not necessarily Agatha Christie, because while Agatha Christie is very, very interesting, and they're lovely books, they're also 100 years old now, and people don't speak like that anymore, unfortunately. Okay, so all kinds of things there. Okay. Thank you, Marina. It's very kind of you to say so. If anybody has another question, then now is the time to put that question. Okay, before Julia comes back and finishes us off. Okay, what about Pride and Prejudice? Oh my! Well, see, the problem with Pride and Prejudice is it's 200 years old now, nearly. It's very old, and it's a good story. Although, frankly, I did want to keep killing half of the people in the story most of the time. And I hated the film. But the point is that the language of Pride and Prejudice is not the same language today. We don't speak like that today. Okay? Yeah, Peaky Blinders. Yeah, that's set in the 20s, isn't it? So, And I have a 16-year-old student in Moscow who's completely taken with Peaky Blinders, is very upset because it's come to an end. But he's been watching it and he thinks it's amazing. I haven't seen it, so I really couldn't comment on the language being used. But Dan Brown, yeah, I find Dan Brown very challenging to read, personally. But yeah, Somerset Maugham's also very old. Aaliyah, yeah, Brummie accent, absolutely. But well, hey, nothing wrong with the Brummie accent. Okay. Right. I can see that Julia is preparing to join in. So I will thank everybody for being with me today. I do hope to see you again tomorrow.